So, good afternoon, everybody. So, we will discuss about learn about the antiviral drugs. So, in this situation, this is becoming very, very important because the antiviral drugs are somehow very costly, and at the same time, the less research is being conducted. So, the antiviral drugs, especially, of course, the use of antiviral drug is somehow rare in case of the veterinary practice. Even then, we do not know in future. We need to study especially the properties of the antiviral drugs. So antiviral drugs as such, they are the agents that are used to limit the growth and replication of the virus. So there are no such, these virucidals are there. We can arrest the growth of the virus. So then the development of specific antiviral drugs in animal is difficult because the viruses are obligate intracellular parasites. So you know that the obligate and they are also intracellular, and their replication depends upon the metabolic process of the host cell. So they are totally dependent on the host cell. Hence, they direct the host cell to produce the proteins which are required for them. Hence, they are the obligate parasites, especially on the host. Then, due to wide variation in the virus causing the disease, especially in the animals and humans, the use of human drugs in veterinary practice is somewhat limited. That's one of the main constraints, especially the most of the antibacterial agents which are used in the human practice can be directly used in case of the animals without any problem, except the pharmacokinetic property is little bit different. But whereas this is totally a different system because they are classified, or maybe DNA virus or RNA virus, the structure, activity, and everything is totally different in case of the human disease and also in case of the veterinary diseases. That's why it's a very challenging thing, especially in the veterinary practice is concerned. Then a brief introduction, especially about the virus, about what are the virus and what are the basic characters. That's all. The thing is, the viruses are the smallest infective agents with size ranging from 20 micrometer, especially the picornavirus, and 320 millimeter and 300 nanometer. So that's the pox virus, biggest, the smallest virus, and they have a very simple structure comprising of a core genome of nucleic acid, which may be either double-stranded or single-stranded RNA or DNA. So usually the coronavirus and other things are the RNA virus, but not the same. They may be either single-stranded or double-stranded. And they are surrounded by a protein shell, or it's also called as the capsid. So this is the structure of what you call as the DNA and RNA viruses. Here you can see that the DNA viruses, most of the time they are the double-stranded viruses, especially the DNA viruses. Here you can see they are the two helical structures are there, and they are the double-stranded viruses. Whereas the RNA virus is a single-stranded virus, just like the coronavirus. And the nitrogenous bases, especially the adenine, cytosine, guanine, and this thymine is in the particular sequence, especially the adenine, thymine, then guanine and cytosine. Like this sequence is there. Whereas in case of the RNA viruses, it is the nitrogenous bases are adenine, cytosine, guanine, and uracil. So you know all these basic structures, especially in the microbiology course, just to remind all those things. So instead of the thymine, they have got the uracil moiety, cytosine, guanine, adenine, and this is the uracil. So that is the difference. Number one is they are double-stranded. Number two is they have got the uracil as the nitrogenous base extra. And type of sugar is deoxyribose, whereas it is just ribose, especially in the RNA virus. And the location is in the nucleus, location in the nucleus of the cell, whereas location is both in nucleus and cytoplasm. RNA virus, they can stay the both places. So This is the major difference. The double strand, then the difference in one of the nitrogen base, then deoxyribose sugar, and also the nucleus, etc. So these are the key points to remember, because later the drugs are going to act on these structures only. Then the capsid is composed of the morphological units called as the capsomeres, which consists of one or two molecules of the polypeptides. Whereas the capsid and its enclosed nucleic acid constitutes the what you call as the nucleocapsid, and especially in some virus, the lipoprotein membrane or the envelope further surrounds the nucleocapsid and may contain the antigenic viral glycoproteins. So these viral glycoproteins are very much useful in finding the vaccines, especially they are having the antigenic property, and hence they are very commonly used for developing of the vaccines. So this is the structure, and here you can go through. This is the simple viral structure, and all these are the viral proteins. Of course, you can just imagine how the coronavirus is looking like. In media and other things, they are all showing the same type of the structure. And this is the envelope. Outer coat is the envelope, and all these which are present is the viral genomes, which are just like they may be either double stranded or the single stranded. And these all genomes are covered by the nucleocapsid. So outer structure, just like nucleus, it is not the correct nucleus, but it's having the nucleocapsid. Whereas the bead-like structures which are surrounding this particular thing are the viral teguments. They are called as the viral teguments. So the virus is basically it has got nothing more than a envelope protein, then the envelope, then a viral genome which is surrounded by a nucleocapsid and all the viral teguments. So these are the 5 structures. So with these 5 structures, the virus is attacking the human with millions of the cells, who is becoming the very much is particularly susceptible. So there are varieties of the virus with the naked nucleocapsid virus. This is naked, and the capsid, the cover is not there, whereas the nucleic acid is inside. Whereas the enveloped viruses do have these spikes, just like the corona is having the spike and the capsid, and inside there is what you call as the nucleic acid. So this is a enveloped virus, just like similar to that of the coronavirus. And unlike bacteria, virus lack both cell wall and cell membrane, and it is having very simple structure, and they do not carry out the metabolic process at all. Okay, simple things. The virus cannot replicate independently because they have no metabolic machinery of their own, and as such they are the obligate intracellular parasites. Since the virus cannot grow themselves, and they will direct the host cell to produce the required proteins, and they will take, whenever they enter the cell, they will take the cell in their control and they rule the country, just like the invaders. And some viruses also contain enzymes which initiate their replication in the host cell, and the whole infective process is called as the virion. The entire process, how the virus enters inside the cell and take control of the cell itself by attacking the nucleus or the genomes, and later it produces the different enzymes which is required for the replication in the host cell. So this is the simple mechanism how the virus will grow inside the cell. And coming to the type of the cell, as such we have seen 2 types of this virus. Number 1, DNA virus, and the RNA virus, but they can be classified in a number of ways, whereas the more recent schemes of classification is like the genomes, different types, mode of site of virus replication, and structure of the virus are considered in the as the important criteria. So these are all the type of the classification based on the structure and the type of the genome, the DNA, RNA, and etc. And there is a committee called as the International Committee on Taxonomy of the Virus. That's the ICTV, International Committee on Taxonomy of the Virus, which is established in 1983 and assigned viruses to 5 main hierarchical levels. This you should remember, because throughout the world, this is the top agency which is responsible for classification of a new virus. So they are classifying the virus in the order of the order first, then family, subfamily, genus, and last is the species level. So this hierarchical level goes there. Whereas the virus orders are designated by the suffix virales, virales, and the family is fixed by the suffix viridae, whereas the subfamily is suffixed by the virinae, then the viral genera by the virus, and later it is identified by this genus of the or the base of the disease. And the animal virus belong to the 2 orders. That is the topmost hierarchical structure. Number 1, that's the mononegavirals, and the nidovirales are the 2 orders, especially the animal viruses. Then the replication of the virus, especially the virus are intracellular parasites, and that utilize host cell biochemical machinery to synthesize their own proteins, especially the viral proteins which are required for, and the genetic material which is required to the virus, not to the host. And the host cell which is producing the proteins for the host will always start, it will obey the order of the virus, and it will start the synthesizing the proteins which are required for the viral replication. And the replication cycle may be broadly divided in 7 to 8 steps. Why you are discussing about these 7 to 8 steps here is, so each step is important pharmacologically, because these steps can be inhibited by or they are hampered by certain drugs, especially the antiviral drugs. So in the first step, the interaction between the virus and the host cell membrane occurs. So there's usually, that's the first step. Either it may be a bacteria or virus, it has to adhere to the membrane of the virus. And for firm and specific binding, the virus usually have the surface capsid proteins, as you know, and envelope spikes are there. I hope you are very familiar with the coronavirus. They have got the different spikes which bind to specific receptor sites on the host cell membrane. So when they adhere to the host cell membrane, then all the other process, next cell process happens. And this specifically often explains the presence of a virus for the specific host or the particular cell type. So if you take the foot and mouth virus as a classical example, it will cause the disease only in case of the cattle or the food animals especially, whereas it is not going to affect the human beings, because the cells of, especially that's also tropic cells, it means it's an epitheliotropic virus, because the epithelium cells are highly susceptible and attacked by the virus, especially the cells of the foot and the mouth. That's why the name. So they are going to adhere to the specific receptors which are presenting on these host cells. Hence, they are very, very host specific. So there is a specificity about the binding of a virion to a particular cellular type, and several different viruses may utilize the same receptor for attachment. So that's also one of the worst procedures, because the host is affected very much. First, a specific virus with specific receptors will bind to the host cell, then it is attacked by several different viruses. And some drugs like antibodies or drugs and antibodies may block virus attachment and its cell entry. So one of the drug, especially the ivermectin, is going to block the binding up of the virus to the host cell. Then second one is the penetration. First, they have to adhere to the bacterial, especially the host cell. Then they have to penetrate inside. Then after initial attachment, the virus particle penetrates the host cell membrane and enters into the host cell. So to damage the host cell, it needs to enter the host cell, because outside the host cell, no protein or nothing is synthesized. The virus may enter the total or leave behind some of its outer coat proteins. So whereas most of the virus, they are going to act intracellularly, whereas the bacteria, many of them are extracellular, except one or two, just like the mycoplasma, it is an and also the tuberculosis. Whereas most of the viruses are intracellular and they damage the cell. And the virion can enter the host cell by number one process, endocytosis, then fusion and translocation. First, endocytosis, it will be engulfed by the host cell itself, then it is going to fuse with that of the cell membrane, and or else the translocation will happen. What is the endocytosis? In this process, the absorbed virus inside the body is incorporated into cytoplasmic vacuoles called the endosomes and is transported across the cell membrane. Whereas the fusion means, as the colloquial meaning, the outer envelope fuses directly with plasma membrane and the nucleocapsid is released directly inside the host cell. That means here the viral cells and the host cell, they are fused together, and the viral material, including the nucleocapsid, is released inside the host cell. Whereas the translocation is certain non-enveloped viruses. Example, the picorna virus. So these do not have the envelope and can especially pass directly through the membrane via the channels into the cytoplasm. There are certain channels, especially just like the porin channels, through which the bacteria enter the cell, host cell. Like this, here also certain channels are there, and the virus get entry to the channels, and that process is called as the translocation. Then after entering the cell, it will get uncoating. It's a process, and after penetration into the host cell, the viral protein coat capsid is broken and the viral genetic material is released into the host cytoplasm. So when the virus gets inside the cell, it will not stay for a long time intact. All the entire outer coat is open and all the material inside the this virus is released into the host. And what happens? The viral genome, it may be a DNA virus or the RNA virus, is now exposed and ready to take control of the host biochemical machinery for replication. So ultimately, it is going to invade the house of some unknown person, and it is going to take the control of the kitchen, especially the host cell kitchen. And uncoating of the virus may be affected by ion channel blockers, number one, especially the translocation process will be inhibited. Then the capsid stabilizers, means they are not allowing the virus to open up itself inside the bacterial, this host cytoplasm. And the fusion protein inhibitors will inhibit the binding of the virus to the host cell. Then the translocation means it is a process through which the virus enters. So in this transcription process, the naked viral genome codes for a messenger RNA strand in the RNA virus, whereas the mRNA, you know that it's very well known, because tRNA and mRNA play a very important role in the bacterial protein synthesis and also the viral protein synthesis. So they will have the conjugation with that of the especially the ribosomes, especially bacteria, and try to synthesize their own protein. Whereas in case of the DNA virus that replicates in the nucleus, the host cellular dependent RNA polymerase 2 performs the function of transcription, and viral genome is transcribed to mRNA. So ultimately, mRNA is very much required for the viral material synthesis. So whereas in case of the DNA virus, it replicates in the nucleus of the host, especially, and this is dependent on the RNA polymerase 2 enzyme, which performs the function of transcription, and viral genome is transcribed into the mRNA. So this is the little one step ahead than that of the RNA viruses, because especially in case of transcription test, the naked viral genome, especially of the virus, codes for a messenger RNA stand in case of the RNA virus, whereas in case of the DNA virus, it replicates inside the host nucleus, and it is dependent on RNA polymerase 2. That's one enzyme is required, one material is required. So this performs the function of transcription, and viral genome is transcribed into the mRNA, and this mRNA will synthesize the viral proteins. Then translation, this step is a viral mRNA attaches to the host ribosomes in the cell cytoplasm, and viral proteins are synthesized to the same fashion as host cells mRNAs are producing their own proteins. Simply what we can say this step, so suppose there is a driver who is driving the vehicle, maybe a lorry or car, and the virus is a co-passenger. So co-passenger virus will get rid of the driver, and it will push out the driver and take the steering in its hand and control the entire truck. Likely the virus will take control of the host cell in such a way that both cytoplasm and viral proteins are synthesized, and it will order the cell to synthesize its own protein or its fashion, especially how the mRNAs of the hosts are going to produce their own proteins. And the synthesis of the protein may occur in two phases. So ultimately the virus is coming inside the cell, going to adhere to the nucleus and takes the control of the mRNA, and ultimately it prepares its own proteins. That is number one, that's the early translation and late translation. So two steps are here. Coming to the early translation of the mRNA leads to the synthesis of the different enzymes and other proteins required for the replication of the viral nucleic acid, because they are mainly consisting of the nucleic acid, as well as the viral proteins which are required for the synthesis of the viral structures, and it suppresses host cell RNA and protein synthesis. So as it takes control of the entire viral cells in its control, so the host cell stops producing the protein for the host itself, but it will work for the RNA virus so that the host cell deprived. And the function of the many proteins, especially early proteins of the large DNA viruses, are still it is not known, especially how they are going to enter, how they are going to take the cell under their control and produce their own proteins. This is not well understood. Whereas the late translation, the proteins translated from late transcripts of the mRNA are viral structural proteins, especially the capsid proteins. So the first synthesized structures, so after entering inside the cell, it is going to release all of its material, especially the genome material, and it will take the control of the mRNA and try to synthesize its own proteins. So the capsid proteins are synthesized, and they are often produced in the considerable excess than the early proteins, and are synthesized late in the infection cycle, especially. So the capsid proteins will be produced by the host cell, but in a very excess or huge quantity when compared to the early proteins, and are synthesized late in the infection cycle. So that's why it takes the incubation time. The particulars, the pathology will take some time, whereas the replication process, especially inside the host cell, takes place, and in this step, the duplicate strands of the viral genetic material, maybe the RNA virus or DNA virus, whereas they are going to produce the replicates of the original viral template. Means, while preparing the PowerPoint, etc., you will have a template. If you go and copy and paste it, all these things will be similar in all the slides. So similarly, it will produce its own replica, or it's also called as the viral template. And the replication in case of the DNA virus usually involve host cell polymerases and may require initial conversion into double reflective form. That's the DNA virus. In a single standard DNA virus, especially the double reflective form or initial unwinding up of the DNA helix, though both may happen because there are certain single standard DNAs also, DNA viruses are also there, because the adenine, cytosine, etc., it will be same, but it is having only one helix. So what happens is they are going to have the initial unwinding of the DNA helix, especially in case of double standard DNA virus, followed by the synthesis of the complementary DNA strands, which is also called as cDNA strands. So this is the developing step, especially the replication of the virion or RNA occurs in the cytoplasm, especially then requires the synthesis of complementary RNA so that the replicas will be produced, which then serves as a template for making more and more virions, especially the capsids and many more things will be formed. So these viral replications targeted by some drugs like the antisense, oligonucleotides, and ribozymes. So these are all the viral replication steps. So here varieties of the steps are there, and you can see that there is a first step that the virus should bind to the host cell membrane. So it is going to bind to the specific receptor on the host cell membrane. Then they are going to get inside this host cell. Then inside the host cell, they take the control of the entire machinery there. Maybe the machinery is the mRNA, and the mRNA is directed in such a way that it should produce the required proteins for the replication of the virus. So the another step, or maybe the final step, is assembly. So in this step, the newly synthesized structural proteins of the viral coat associated with spontaneously to form the capsomeres. So these are all the steps, especially the capsomeres. So the mRNA is coding in such a way that they are going to produce the capsomeres, which itself assemble to form empty procapsids. So these are all the steps in synthesis of the virus, whereas the newly formed genetic materials are then packed inside the procapsids to form new viral nucleocapsids. So you know the structure of the virus. The outer coat is called as the capsid, and the materials, especially the genetic materials which are required for the formation of the virus, they will be covered by external coat, and they are called as the nucleocapsids. So in case of the enveloped viruses, the nucleocapsids acquire enveloped by budding through inner nuclear membrane. That's the in case of DNA virus. So they will be budded, means the fusion, binary fusion will take place and a new virus is formed, or the cytoplasmic virus also, whereas this pattern is followed by the RNA viruses. The complete assembly results in the formation of the mature virus particle, though this is the final step wherein the young virus is produced, because the different type of the proteins are synthesized In case of the RNA, the required genetic material is prepared and the replica of the virus take place. Then finally, the release of the virus which is newly produced. So for the final step, so the complete, especially virions, are released from the host cell either by budding from the host cell membrane or after the cell lysis. See here, the virus cell, it enters and it commits the suicide. So you know very well it, because totally its structure is lost. The external core is dissolved in the host cell cytoplasm. But the viral materials will direct the host cell ribosomes or the mRNA to produce the viral protein. And ultimately, the replication occurs, especially. So these are all the steps where we can inhibit. Whereas the drug amantadine is one of the antiviral drugs, may also block the later stage of assembly and release of the new virions at the host cell surface. So amantadine is an antiviral drug. It is going to block the release of the new virus from the host cell. So these, if you learn it very well, it becomes very interesting because the different drugs are going to bind the different stages of the development of the bacteria. So here also this diagrammatic representation, how the virus enters inside the cell and how it takes the control of the bacteria, these virus cells, and ultimately it produces its own protein and get out of the cell. Either it may cause the lysis of the cell or it itself will come out. So number one is attachment and absorption of the virus. Here you can see the endocytosis. The process is called as the endocytosis. So there will be an invagination of the host cell and this virus enter, and inside this cell especially it penetrates. So this is called as the penetration. Then uncoating means here the virus which has come inside, it will break open and release all the materials inside the virus. And early viral protein synthesis, because these materials will code the live cell of the host and try to synthesize its own protein. So later all the capsids and other things are formed and they will get out of the cell. So ultimately the host cell will die, or it is going to necrose or die. So that's how the most of the virus they work. So here you can see the attachment, penetration, uncoating, early viral mRNA synthesis, and early viral protein synthesis. Whereas the other steps, of course, in the viral replication are the viral genome replication. So this virus, it takes the hold of the mRNA of the host and it will produce all the materials, including the genomes, which are required for the virus. Whereas there is a late viral mRNA synthesis will occur, whereas the mRNA will take place the entire protein synthesis of the host in its hand. So later the assembly occurs, especially the different parts of this bacteria get fused together and they will get outside the cell of the host. So now it is the time of antiviral drugs, whereas the antiviral drugs are perhaps one of the least used drugs in veterinary practice. So the reason, number one, they are the cost effectiveness, because they are highly costly in nature and it requires the proper pharmacokinetic study, because whether they are going to act or not need to be studied. So there are a lot of research work is going on and still we do not have a good antiviral agent to control the diseases like the foot and mouth, a menace of the India now. So only a few compounds are available for the clinical use, and furthermore the antivirals developed to date are the very static in nature. So most of the drugs, antiviral drugs, are static in nature because the viruses are dependent on the host cell for replication. Therefore, it is not possible to create true virucidal effect. So it is very difficult, especially the virucidal means any drug which can kill the virus. So they can arrest the growth of the virus inside the nucleus, whereas it is very difficult to cause a virucidal effect, just like the bactericidal drug. Then why there is a difficulty to the pharmaceutical industry to develop the antiviral drugs? There are a lot of constraints are there. So nowadays everybody is asking why the scientists have not developed the virus against this drug against the coronavirus infection. The reasons are many and it is not a easy step. Just like the antibacterial drugs, it itself took about 100 years totally completely to develop the good antibacterial drugs, at least to some selected diseases. So the thing is why this is so difficult is the viruses are intracellular pathogens. So the antiviral drug should penetrate the host cell. That is one of the important, what do you call as the constraint. So to get the virus static action also, the drug should enter the each and every host cell wherever there is a virus. Whereas the viral utilized host cells machinery for the replication. So the drugs affecting the viral replication usually injure the host cell as well as and resulting in the narrow merging margin of the safety. Because see here, the drugs need to enter inside the bacterial cell and they have to act on the genetic material of the bacteria. At the same time, the genetic material of the host will also be troubled by the antiviral drugs. Hence, it is very, very difficult to develop an antiviral drug when compared to the antibiotic. The viral biochemistry is not fully understood as on day, even though it's one of the smallest organism in this earth. So it's especially the structure and the other activities and its capacity to control the host cell are need to be assessed. And there are limited target sites for the drug. That's one of the another constraints. So first the drug should enter the these viral cells and it should act on the different stages of replication of the virus. So this is one of the tough thing and mostly the nucleic acid replication which tend to facilitate the development of a resistance. So that's always a common problem because this virus, they are very potent in having the resistance. So there is a lack of dependable in vitro susceptibility testing procedures for the use of correct antiviral drug. Usually what we are going to do, especially in case of bacteria, we will do the culture and sensitivity test or the culture of the bacteria and put the antibacterial drug disc inside the culture, whereas it is not so easy here. So the results of available procedure generally do not correlate clinically as some of the compounds undergo bioactivation. So here the in vitro susceptibility cannot be matched with that of the in vivo. So totally it is different because the available for procedure, especially generally, do not correlate clinically. That's the different disease, especially how it is going to act on the diseased state human being. And as some of the compounds undergo bioactivation is also another process. And antiviral drugs are not effective against the non-replicate or the latent viruses. Means they are, if the antiviral drugs are given, if the virus is in a quiescent stage, they are not going to act because they will only effective on the virus which is having the process of replication. And most drugs inhibit single step in viral replication so that they are virustatic. It means many of the antiviral drugs are virustatic unless they like that of the antibacterial drug. So therefore the optimum activities of these drugs depend on the presence of adequate host self-defense mechanism. That's why everybody, especially in the coronavirus infection, everybody say that the host immune system should be boosted up. But it's very difficult to boost up the host immune system, especially in case of the normal human beings, especially in case of certain immunocompromised persons, like who is taking the chemotherapy, or sometimes who is having the malnutrition and not having the proper food, etc. We cannot control the disease so easily. So therefore, the optimal activities of these drugs, they also dependent on the presence of the adequate host defense mechanism. That means the body should act on the virus and get rid of the invaded virus. That's how it says. Whereas the drugs cannot. And the classification of the antiviral drugs is by the site of action, then mode of action, etc. And that's where the role of the pharmacology is there, and the target site where we need to fix the antiviral drugs, etc. Whereas the antiviral drugs can be divided into the varieties of the categories, especially some drugs may have more than one actions also, just like the antimicrobial drugs. You know that the amino, especially the ribosomes of the bacteria are inhibited by the amino acids. But it is going to inhibit the 30 subunit of the bacterial protein. So this 30th subunit, inside that 30th subunit, once again there are subdivisions. 23S is inhibited by some of the antimicrobial drugs which are belonging to aminoglycoside class. So the inhibitors, the first classification is inhibitors of viral attachment and presentation. So that's the first one, especially though the virus need to enter inside the bacterial cell through the porin channels, then it inhibits, and there are certain drugs which are the inhibitors of the attachment and penetration. So this is the first step. Whenever there is a virus comes inside the host cell, it will try to search the receptors wherever I can go inside. So then ultimately it finds a receptor and binds to that of the receptor. And later what happens? So the virus gets inside the cell, and the entire virus will be broken up into different pieces. Especially they are called as the genetic material of the bacteria. Whereas especially the gamma globulin is the inhibitor of viral attachment and penetration. So the inhibitors of the viral nucleic acid synthesis. So all these are the routine procedures, especially in viral cells. So there are varieties of the virus which are having the inhibition, the nucleic acid synthesis. So the classes of the drugs, especially antiviral drugs, are classified into different, especially the purine analogs. Number one is purine analogs. What is a purine analog? Means the classical drug acyclovir. So please remember this particular drug. It is very commonly used in many of the animal diseases. And also the other drugs like valacyclovir, then renicyclovir, then volganiciclovir, then peniciclovir, and the famciclovir and ribavirin, then vidarabin and didanosine. All these are the classical example of the purine metabolites, especially the adenines and purines, etc. And the third one is the thymidine analogs. So the pyrimidine analogs, especially the third one, the second one. So the examples of this category are the zeduvidine, hydroxyridine, trifluridine, then sorividine, then also the another 2 or 3 examples are the cytarabine, this one, then zaclitabine is another, and cidovir are the examples of the pyrimidine analogs. Okay. Whereas the third category is prophosphate analog. That is the phoscarnet is the pro-class analog, phoscarnet. Whereas the third category is inhibitors of viral assembly. Then the inhibitors of the viral assembly means here the nucleic acid will be synthesized and it need to be joined together, and this joining will be inhibited by the amantadine and remantadine, So whereas the first category here, inhibitors of the viral attachment, the classical drug ivermectin, it will come. Whereas the other drugs like the remdesivir and many more are effective in different steps. Then immunomodulators are there. I think the first one is the interferons. So as the name indicates, it is interferon alpha and it interferes with this viral replication. Whereas the interferon inducers, so these interferons are produced by the virus itself and they are lethal to the virus. And the interferon produces the polyribosonic acid, polyribositidylic acid, and inosine. So these are all the interferon inducers. Whereas the fifth category is not belonging to the earlier category, it is miscellaneous agents. That is the number one classification is the thiosemicarbosomes. Thiosemicarbosomes, the example is the methicillin is the classical example, and the antiviral antibiotics are the rifampicin or rifamycin or dactinomycin. Both of these are the drug. Of course, the rifamycin is the anti-tuberculosis drug, whereas the others like the saramine, especially the saramine is a veterinary drug, and also the levomethol is also another veterinary drug, which is a immunopotentiator. Whereas the inocyplex, then ribozymes, whereas the antigen oligonucleotides and dextran sulfate are the other antiviral drugs. Then coming to the first agents, especially the inhibitors of the viral attachment and the penetration. So the agents are the gamma globulins, especially the IgG is a protein fraction and obtained from the plasma of the normal individuals. So it may be heard of the plasma of a corona recovered patient. So that plasma is containing the gamma globulins, and it contains a variety of the antibodies against the specific viral antigens. So these antibodies are going to bind with that of the antigen of the virus and get neutralized. So although the exact mode of the gamma globulin is not clear, it is believed that the antibodies can neutralize some viruses and prevent their attachment to the cell of the host, and subsequently if this step is inhibited, then penetration inside the host cell will be totally inhibited. That's why the gamma globulins, they are the natural substances which are obtained from the another host or the another patient who has recovered from the disease, or it's a plasma of the normal individual also. So this is it is used mostly in human medicine to attenuate or prevent the progression of the measles, one of the diseases there. Then infectious hepatitis, of course, infectious canine hepatitis is also present, whereas the infectious hepatitis virus, it is going to cause the cancer, especially the hepatocellular carcinoma, and especially the rabies virus, especially, and also the polioencephalomyelitis virus, or the thing you might have heard, all have got the polio drops, which is containing the antibodies to the polio, and some other viral infections also. These such things can be done, especially the gamma globulins. So here is a human normal immunoglobulin, and it is for the intravenous use only. So this is the trade name and other thing, gamma IV. So 500 gram, 5 grams per 100 ml injection with a single dose container. It is there. So this is produced by Bharat Serums and Vaccines, which is manufacturing the co-vaccine, which is very commonly used in case of the human corona and this vaccine production. So you in few days after 21st onwards, I think you all will get the anti-corona vaccine, and by this time you should know what are all the vaccines available in the country for the prevention of and control of the coronavirus. So here we have to take the example of the coronavirus because the existing pandemic itself is caused by the coronavirus, a RNA virus. And the protection against viral infection is short because the half-life of the immunoglobulins itself is short. That's why it is having just 2 to 3 weeks. And after single injection also, so the hypersensitivity reactions are important adverse effects of the gamma globulins because the serum of some XYZ person is taken and the human normal immunoglobulins will be prepared for intravenous. So there is severe anaphylactic reaction in certain cases. Hence, one should anticipate all these reactions and treat the patient. So this is about the first agent, whereas the second agent is inhibitors of the viral nucleic acid synthesis. Of course, the ivermectin is also said to act on the adhesion of the virus, coronavirus, to the host cell. So still it need to be confirmed because all are the hypotheses. And the second one is the inhibitors of the viral nucleic acid synthesis. So there are the varieties of the analogs are there. The first one is the purine analogs. So a number of the purine inhibitors or analogs have been synthesized and are used in the human medicine against some of the viral infections, especially so many antiviral drugs. A few of these have found in clinical applications in veterinary practice as well, particularly as anti-herpes drugs like the acyclovir, gamcyclovir, etc. So these are especially very effective in the treatment of the bovine herpes simplex virus because it causes the mammalitis, especially in case of the bovine herpes, and also the herpes, which causes the zoster, herpes zoster, which causes a characteristic painful disorders, the dermatological disorders in the human beings. So this is very effective. Whereas the acyclovir and or it's also called as acyclovir, acyclovir. So this drug is also used especially in the treatment of the herpes. Then acyclovir or acycloguanosine is a synthetic guanosine nucleotide analog. So it is one of the most prescribed antiviral drugs. Acyclovir is one of the most prescribed antiviral drugs because it is effective against the herpes virus. So herpes virus is causing the herpes, especially in case of the human, whereas it is going to cause the allergic necrotic thylitis in case of the buffaloes, and also it is effective against the especially mammalitis or bovine herpes 1 mammalitis, especially in case of the crossbred cows. And it is usually available as the sodium salt that has high solubility in the water. So it's available as acyclovir sodium. And coming to the mechanism of action of the acyclovir, it's a synthetic guanosine analog. So it substitutes guanosine in DNA synthesis and inhibit virus replication. So it wrongly produces the improper the guanosine. Then the DNA synthesis will be impaired and the bacterial growth will be, this viral growth will be arrested inside the host. And the efficacy of the acyclovir depends upon its especially conversions into the trophosphate form. So triphosphate form. So the acyclovir should be converted to acyclovir triphosphate, and then itself will get entry inside the cell and stops the viral replication. So here you can see the flow chart, how acyclovir is going to act on the virus, especially the herpes virus. Herpes virus is a DNA virus. So the acyclovir, it enters inside the affected cell, especially the host cell, with the help of the enzyme viral kinase. Acyclovir get inside the cell, and with the help of the viral this kinase activity, it is converted to acyclovir monophosphate. So that is the first step. Whereas the cellular kinases which are secreted from the host cell are going to convert this into the acyclovir diphosphate. So monophosphate is converted to diphosphate. Whereas the another step is acyclovir diphosphate is converted to acyclovir triphosphate. So this is the important step. Acyclovir is converted to triphosphate, and it decreases or reduces the viral DNA polymerase activity, which is very much required for the viral DNA production. And it also causes, acyclovir also causes the DNA chain termination, because it is going to produce a nonsense protein that is not required by the virus for its replication. And the initiation phosphorylation of the drug to its monophosphate form is catalyzed by the thymidine kinase. So especially in case of the virus application, the phosphorylation of the drugs to its this phosphate form is catalyzed by the thymidine kinase, and subsequent di and triphosphate forms by the host cells. So host cells are going to convert this monophosphate to the other phosphate, triphosphate or diphosphate. So whereas the newly formed acyclovir triphosphate, also called as acyclovir GTP, and this complies with the deoxyguanosine triphosphate or DGTP as substrate for viral DNA polymerase, and itself incorporated into the viral DNA. So whenever there is a viral DNA synthesized inside the host cell, this drug will go inside the particularly viral DNA, and it will destabilizes the viral DNA. So then the arrest of the growth of viral DNA occurs. So this is the step how the acyclovir is going to act. So this acyclovir is going to enter with the energy dependent molecule, especially the HSV, this thymidine kinase. So inside this is an energy dependent process, and it will come inside the host cell. So the acyclovir phosphate is being formed with the help of the HSV thymidine kinase. Then this is going to act on the HSV DNA polymerase, especially the polymerase DNA polymerase. Whereas the GTP is converted to GTP, and HSV DNA incorporation and the termination of the chain will occur. So this is the chain termination. Hence, these especially the antiviral drugs are going to come and stop replication of the polypeptide chain, especially for the protein synthesis. So protein synthesis of the viral, this host cell will totally stop, and hence it causes the virus growth arrest. That's the virostatic in nature. Then the incorporation of the unnatural acyclovir triphosphate into the growing strand. So what happens? So this is a growing strand which is coded by the mRNA of the virus. Then the unnatural amino acids or the polypeptide chains are incorporated into the viral cell material, especially the unnatural this acyclovir triphosphate, especially the growing strand of the viral DNA causes chain termination because it lacks the 3-hydroxyl group, and irreversible binding up of the acyclovir triphosphate to the viral DNA polymerase also inactivates the enzyme permanently, so that further it is not going to act. Whereas the antiviral activity of the acyclovir is limited mainly due to the herpes virus, especially on the herpes virus as usual, because the herpes virus thymidine kinase is more selective for the conversion of the acyclovir to the inactivate metabolite of the activate metabolites of the acyclovir, that's the monophosphate. So the virus thymidine kinase is an enzyme secreted by the virus, and it is very selective for the conversion of acyclovir to active metabolite, that's the acyclovir monophosphate. So this is the another step. So here you can see this especially this step, the acyclovir plus whenever it is administered, then it is acyclovir is dependent with that of the energy and uptaken inside the viral cell, then HSV and thymidine kinase are activated. Whereas this acyclovir plus ATP is converted to acyclovir phosphate, and the enzymes of the host cell are going to convert it to acyclovir triphosphate. Very simple. Acyclovir phosphate is converted to triphosphate, and also the HSV and DNA polymerase enzymes are going to convert this into the tricyclovir triphosphate, and this is incorporated into the DNA. So the viral DNA synthesis is inhibited by the acyclovir. So many times the acyclovir ointments are also available, and they are effective in the treatment of the herpes-induced mammalitis, herpes mammalitis virus. Then acyclovir is relatively safe to host because it inhibits the viral DNA polymerase 10 to 30 times more than that of the host cell. Whereas most of the antiviral and anti-cancerous drugs are highly toxic in nature. It's very difficult to make a correct target here. And the polymerase, and also especially host cell polymerase, is especially it is potent, and also because the host cells are very less capable of activating the drug from one form to the other form, especially the ability of the host cell thymidine kinase to form the acyclovir monophosphate from the acyclovir is about 200 times less than that of the viral enzyme. So some of these drugs, especially, they need to get activated inside the viral cell using the host cell also. Then this property is about, especially the binding capacity of the acyclovir is about 200 times less than that of the viral enzymes. So coming to the antiviral spectrum of this particular drug, acyclovir, so it has the antiviral activity against a variety of the DNA virus, especially the anti-herpes virus or the herpes simplex virus. Herpes virus, especially, that's called as the herpes simplex virus, HSV1. So here also you can see the herpes simplex virus is going to bind with that of the thymidine kinase and the acyclovir, and acyclovir phosphate is formed, which is converted to acyclovir triphosphate with the, especially the HSV, herpes virus simplex virus. Then the DNA polymerase and acyclovir triphosphate is incorporated into the viral DNA, and the viral DNA synthesis will be inhibited. So this drug is said to be safe because it inhibits the viral cell DNA polymerase to 10 to 30 times more than that of the host cell, especially host polymerase, and also because the host cells are very less capable of activating the drug. So acyclovir need to be activated to acyclovir monophosphate and triphosphate. Then only it is going to be incorporated into the viral DNA. So this, if this step is inhibited, then the viral replication stops. Whereas the conversion of the acyclovir to its triphosphate format is not done by, especially in the host cell. That's why it is not so toxic to the host cell. And the thymidine kinase, especially the enzyme which convert acyclovir monophosphate to acyclovir is about 200 times less than that of the viral, that's the enzymes, especially in case of, so many times it is asked that why it is not toxic so much to the host cells. That's why, because it is not going to be converted acyclovir, especially inside the host cell, it is not going to converted to the monophosphate and triphosphate form, because the ability of the host cell thymidine kinase to form acyclovir monophosphate from acyclovir is 200 times less potent, especially when compared to the viral enzymes. And the antiviral spectrum, it's a very clearly, it's saying that it's a anti-herpes drug, especially it's effective against the herpes simplex virus 1 and 2, and also the varicella virus and the zoster virus, and less active against the Epstein-Barr or cytomegalovirus, which is causing some of the diseases, especially in case of the animals and the human beings. In all cases, acyclovir inhibits only activity of replicating virus and no effect on the latent virus. The thing is, yes, today if the virus has entered the animal's body and it is not at all replicating and just it is adhered to the host cell, and at that time acyclovir is nothing to do, because once the replication start, it is converted to triphosphate and get incorporated inside the DNA and stops the bacterial growth. And the viral resistance comes by the mutation of the strains that possess the altered or deficient viral thymidine kinase, which convert the acyclovir to phosphate, its phosphate form, and DNA polymerase. And most viruses have been naturally resistant to acyclovir because they lack specific thymidine kinase. So it is dependent upon the host cell. Then coming to the pharmacokinetics, so you have got the injection of the acyclovir and it's available in the oral form, topical and parenteral. IV preparations are available, and especially in case of herpes virus induced bovine myelitis, it is very effective. So after oral administration, it is poorly absorbed from the gastrointestinal tract with the availability of the 15 to 30%, and it's primarily eliminated unchanged in the urine via the GFR, glomerular filtration, and tubular secretion. And the plasma half-life of acyclovir in man varies from 2 to 3 hours. Of course, in case of animals also, it is same almost. And the side effects, so most of the antiviral drugs have got the side effects. So in case of the study, especially in the animals, is limited, whereas the oral administration of acyclovir is associated with the GI disturbances like the nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea, which is a very common phenomenon in most of the higher antibiotics. And the phlebitis or the inflammation of the vein also occur following the IV administration, and topical application of acyclovir may be associated with the irritation, especially local irritation, and also the reversible leukopenia, that means the transient depression of the immune system. And sometimes the anemia have been reported in some cats treated with acyclovir for herpes disease. The drug interactions, so the acyclovir should not be used in the nephrotoxic drugs. So you have already studied the most nephrotoxic drugs are the aminoglycosides. So their combination may be enhanced, potential nephrotoxicity may enhance. Whereas the clinical use, especially the acyclovir, is useful in treating the herpes infection in the animals. So it has been used to treat both ocular form and respiratory diseases caused by the feline herpes virus 1. So it's a nonsense problem in case of the cats. So the dispersible acyclovir tablets is available as Acivir 200 dispersible tablet. DT means dispersible tablet. Then it's also considered as useful in treating conjunctivitis and keratitis by the equine herpes virus in case of horses and herpes infection in some avian species. So, and another thing is it is available commercially as the ophthalmic ointment and a topical ointment or cream, and also the IV preparation. So these IV preparations are used in the animal practice, same human preparations. Acyclovir is used especially to treat the herpes-induced bovine mammalitis. Whereas the cats, it is used as the 200 milligram as the total dose, and it is administered at 4 times daily to the cats, especially herpes wide. Whereas the birds, it is 80 milligram per kg orally for 3 times a day, especially in the susceptible viral infection. So this is about the acyclovir, and tomorrow onwards we will learn about the valacyclovir, another agent.